Well. So, if you have been following along with my journey here on YouTube as the Wrestling Old Head in the portal of pro wrestling, and following my journey through exploring the storyline between Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio, with Liv Morgan and Damian Priest and Finn Balor, JD McDonough and Carlito being thrusted into this program together, and following along with their breakup of the Judgment Day and the breakup of Rhea and Dom, and the sultry affair between Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio, then maybe you came across a video where I said that Dominik Mysterio should be in a cage above the ring when Rhea Ripley wrestles Liv Morgan at Bad Blood. It was me! If you were around for that, y'all some real ones, and I tip my hat off to you. If you are new to this channel, I advise you, it's probably going to be in the description. Go check it out. And don't mind the fact that I said it should be in a Hell in a Cell match first, because, well, I'll be 1,000 with you. I thought it should have been in a Hell in a Cell. And then I reconfigured. And a lot of the times I go back, I listen to these words that I say on these videos, and I read my notes, and I watch the program thoroughly, and I go, maybe, just maybe, I had it wrong. Maybe the Hell in a Cell needs to have more importance. And then from there, I started to think about what they could do to isolate Dom from the equation without putting them in a steel cage. And then I said, well, why don't they put Dom in a cage? Now look, this isn't an original idea. In fact, I'm sure that you can scour the earth and scour the internet and find somebody that's probably said it. I'm giving you the genesis of my idea in formulating my opinion on this. And as a wrestling old head, a very controversial name I might add, as a fan of professional wrestling for as long as I've been a fan, in most cases, that's how you get the manager to stop from interfering in the match. And Dominik Mysterio can be considered the manager in this equation, in my opinion. Yes, he does some wrestling here and there, but for the most part, I would consider him a manager. So, Dominik Mysterio in a cage above the ring. Two things could happen in this scenario, in my opinion. During this match, Rhea Ripley can break the key off in the lock of the cage to ensure that there is no way that Dominik Mysterio can get out of the cage. So as it's going up, and you know what would even be a really nice touch is if you found out that he was afraid of heights. Oh, that would be so old school, because that's usually what happens. Like, I think it was Bobby the Brain Heenan was in a cage above the ring. He's like, oh, I'm afraid of heights. It might have been Jerry Lawler too. I might be conflating the two, actually. It might have been Jerry Lawler. I can't even remember now, but I do remember it was a specific scenario where they had someone in the cage above the ring and they were afraid of heights, which made it even better. And then, you know, I think somebody tried to throw the keys up to the cage and then get the manager free. And, you know, that's inevitability, right? So, like, that's the options that we have here. Either Rhea makes sure that Dom can't get out, or Dom unveils a freaking extra key, and then he, you know, gets out and tries to climb down. Somebody gets a hold of the operation crane for the cage, and gets the cage lowered so that Dom can get out. I mean, there's so many different ways they can go about it. So I think Adam Pearce, what I would say Adam Pearce should do is tell Dom that if he does find a way out of that cage, or if Judgment Day does find a way to get Dom out of the cage, then Dom would spend a night in the slammer. Yeah, and that's not like a wrestling term like a cage or anything. It is actually an old wrestling term. It's an old head wrestling term if you smell what I'm cooking.
Shut up, bitch! Oh my God!
It's the term for a jail, the slammer, and specifically a specific type of slammer. And considering the Bad Blood is going to be in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, then Adam Pearce, once Dom tries to sneakily get out of the cage, and Adam Pearce comes out and says, "You broke the rules. You're spending the night in the slammer. Have you ever took a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia.
Better read the signs, respect the law and overuse of hard times.
And a major pop would ensue. I mean, look, I'm an old school wrestling guy, okay? I try to stay on to the current topics at hand, like the current wrestling product, but hey, I like to bring in a little old school as well. Sue me. So, yeah, a jailhouse match between Damian Priest if he tries to get out of the cage, or he spends one night in a cell, in a jail cell at the local prison. I mean, those are the things that I grew up watching, and I think it would be a nice touch. But it seems that they're obviously building towards Liv retaining here because they're taking away her options, okay? So that's number one. First of all, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest have been running roughshod over the Judgment Day for, I don't know, about 2 months or so, mostly since SummerSlam. And it's been pretty much a one-sided affair, aside from a few big beatdowns. Now, okay, so there's a part of me that believes that Liv Morgan should lose this match, Rhea should retain, and then move on. But then there's another side to this, which I feel like if this is a cat and mouse game, if you catch Liv in the trap and the cat wins, Rhea Ripley, what do you have left at that point? You have to move on because she's gotten everything back that she really cares about and really needs. She's going to have Damian. She's going to have Jey Uso, to affectionately call her Rhea Rip Yeet. Rhea Rip Yeet. Yeet. Rhea Rip Yeet.
Today, Junior?
That's hard to say. Affectionately calling her Rhea Rip Yeet. And then she has the women's championship. She's beaten Liv. She's isolated Dom. Maybe she can even hit him with a riptide afterwards. I mean, that just kind of ends the whole story. You want to keep the story going. There's still a lot of meat on that bone there that you can still utilize. It doesn't have to end like how Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are they're essentially ending their feud at Bad Blood, but that's the ending of a match, but that's still, the war is going to rage on for a long time in the WWE. But that's been going on for like a year. And Liv and Rhea have a very similar trajectory, but you don't have to end their story right now. And I think with Liv winning, right? So you isolate Dom, so you think, oh man, this is a foregone conclusion. Rhea is going to win. That's when they hit you with the aha. Aha. Aha.
Aha!
That's when they hit you with the aha. And in Liv's case, she can either bring out an insurance policy, she can bring in Raquel Rodriguez, they can bring in somebody else from the Judgment Day to lower the crane that's holding the cage. And that can be a debut of a new hand for the Judgment Day, because right now the Judgment Day does need a heavy. And what I mean by heavy is they need someone in their arsenal that you buy that could be a world beater or a badass. Okay? And no disrespect to Carlito and JD McDonough and even Finn Balor to a degree, they're not that though. And Damian Priest is always going to find a way to beat the shit out of them. So you need like a big dude, a biker dude, somebody dark to do it. I saw somewhere on the Rumor and Innuendo podcast, that's Monday through Friday at 12 noon Eastern, on ad-free shows, or on Rumor and Innuendo on YouTube, Dominic D'Angelo and Robert Karpelis 5 days out of the week. They are like what I affectionately like to call scarecrows, because they're outstanding in their field. Word to K-Dog, word to K100. If you know, you know.
Wow! That's my line!
They in their chat, one of the guys mentioned that it should be Lucha Brothers. Amazing idea. Because Dom can bring the dark Rey Mysterio Jr.'s, which I would affectionately call Pentagon and Rey Fenix, these guys that are like dark arts lucha guys, and they can come in and join Judgment Day and even kind of throw off Finn and JD for a little bit, like, whoa, what are you doing, Dom? And Dom's like, trust me, this needs to be done. You know, I like that idea a lot. You can toy around with a lot of that. But essentially what the idea would be is that you want to make sure that you take all of the possibilities of giving Liv the win off the table so that you don't see you miss one option and you're left like thunderstruck when it happens. Okay. So I'm toying with the idea of maybe Liv winning again, because I just think that it really makes more sense at the end of the day. And so I'm going to go with that, but I'm not going to give a full-on prediction right now. What I am going to say is this past Monday on WWE Raw, they did an excellent job of really setting up bad blood with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Damian Priest, with that New Jack City reference. I mean, come on. I mean, if you've been watching my channel, you know New Jack City is my thing. That's like my movie. I can quote the whole movie from beginning to end. Huh? Is that what this is about?
Done. So, see ya. And I wouldn't want to be here.
Am I my brother's keeper? That's what Damian Priest said, and I was like, oh my God, that's New Jack City, man. He's taking me back here, you know, like his soul is required in hell. Like, oh man, like I'm probably gonna put a couple of these quotes in this clip in this video for sure, because I mean they hit close to home. You know, what can I say? I'm an old school movie fan too. I like to put little movie clips in here. You know, follow along, come with me on this journey. But the promo was done really well. I actually think that it would be nice if, you know, the cinematic sequence that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns did that I spoke about in a couple of other videos is really nice, because if they don't overdo it, like if the whole show isn't that, then it can be really special moments that they introduce. One idea I had was Liv and Dom are celebrating their victory at a diner and they're eating chicken tendies, and it's very cinematic. You know, it's kind of like the Pulp Fiction scene where they're in the diner, you know, but they're all like hugged up with each other and she's feeding them the chicken tendies or whatever, and then all of a sudden like the door of the diner opens and it's like a little bell and you can hear like the boots on the ground on the tile floor, and Dom and Liv are like, just, I mean, they're not even paying attention, but everybody in the diner is looking at the Terror Twins like, oh shit, it's about to go down. And then Dom and Liv look across the table, and who sits across from them is Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Yo, and then they flip the table over, beat him down, and everybody floods out. They end up throwing Dom through the window like Arnold did in Terminator 2, and they throw Liv on the fryer. No, I'm just kidding. Not that crazy. But you know what I mean? Like, just like a diner brawl, you know? Like, that would be cool cinematic sequence. That really wouldn't be overdone. I mean, yes, it could be quirky. It would be corny. And it would really cross the line, okay? But work with me here. It's a good idea. I think it's a nice idea. It would be something if they did something like that. It would be a nice little touch, because they should be reserving the cinematic sequences for their prime storylines, for their A+ storylines. And while they're building this, I love this idea that they're building like their television only feuds. So their matches on television are they're just that bigger, just that much bigger than you would normally see, and they don't have to like spoil like their potential main event matches. A lot of what happened in the Attitude Era was you would see, in order to get attention, they had to go Steve Austin against Kane tonight for the WWF World Championship, Triple H against Mankind, The Rock against Stone Cold, or The Rock against Farouk, or like all of these big matches that could have been used for pay-per-view. They decided to put them on their television show for the main event so people would tune in. And what ended up happening was then they tried to get you to pay for the pay-per-view main event that you've already seen, either in short form or because it was a double DQ or count out or something like that on television. They try to get you to see it on pay-per-view, but it's essentially the same idea, right? So WWE has very much found an interesting way around that by building TV only feuds, you know, like just exclusively for their television product, like Sheamus and Pete Dunne, or Ludwig Kaiser and seemingly it's going to be Ilya Dragunov soon, or Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston and Karrion Kross and the American Maid, and you know, like and the American Maid and Otis Tozawa and Maxine Dupree, you know, so like and Pure Fusion Collective and Io Sky and Kairi Sane, you know, so like there's these different programs that are going on right now that are pretty much exclusive to their television program. But then you also have these big time storylines that are kind of like hovering around the atmosphere there. So like even though you don't see Drew McIntyre wrestle all the time or Gunther wrestle all the time, you know they're involved in these A1 storylines like Gunther is with Sami Zayn and Drew is with CM Punk. And so that's a good answer. In my opinion, the question is, can these television-only feuds propel their stars to different heights? Absolutely. So I like when they're doing that. I love, and more of that, please. So these television-only feuds give us an opportunity to build interest in the program going forward, and I'm all for that because then it makes each match more exciting. That's why when you got Braun Breaker and Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship, there were big stakes because that's like a match that you would have assumed they would have had at Bad Blood. Just like Gunther and Sami Zayn, you would have assumed they were going to have that at Bad Blood, but it seems like the answer to that question is
No.
What? Couldn't have said it better myself, Gunther. So I like that. And so if they keep that up, then these cinematic scenes that they have can be, used on these A1 storylines like the Judgment Day and Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, or the Bloodline, or even the Wyatt Six, or Gunther and Sami Zayn even. You know, like they can toy around with these A1s, or Braun Breaker and, Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. You saw that video package that, I mean, their production crew, give it up. They had like less than 2 hours notice that was going to be the match next week on Monday, the last monster standing, and they had an awesome video package for it. You know, so I mean, that's something that they can keep doing too, like using that cinematic stuff. Like, I mean, Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed jumping off of the wall and slamming onto Braun Strowman. I forgot to even talk about that a couple weeks back. That reminded me of E Honda destroying the cars in Street Fighter. You know what I mean? Like. That was really cinematic, and so they can keep doing that, and I think it would really be good if they did that. Just, you know, little things here and there, and then keep the TV-only feuds for in the studio, in the arena, you know, in the ring, and essentially. I think that's a good idea for them going forward. But short term, what we're going to see at Bad Blood, I believe, is the continuation of the feud going forward with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Rhea is going to try to win the championship, and she's going to fail. That's my opinion on that, but you guys let me know what you think. Is Liv Morgan going to walk away from Bad Blood with the championship? Is Dominik Mysterio going to spend the night in the jail cell because he tries to escape the cage? Is he afraid of heights even?
Love the way leather feels against your body.
If you ever took a trip to Cobb County, Georgia, do you know what that lyric is from? You guys let me know in the comments, and thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Thank you for everyone that has enjoyed this video and has commented in the comment section. You guys help keep this community alive, and I couldn't do this without you guys. And as always, stay tuned for more.